This is a second and third stimulus check update. Republican congressman proposes that no one should get the third $1,400 stimulus check unless they take the vaccine first. President Biden signed a new executive order to speed up the process of receiving the second $600 stimulus check, and families with children can receive from $250 to $300 per month with the new stimulus package. Plus, I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments regarding the $600 stimulus check. I hope you're having a great day so far. Quick reminder, I'm giving out $200 checks to my subscribers, and I'll have details to that down in the description below. So GOP Congressman from Ohio, Steve Stiver, says, give $1,400 stimulus checks only to people who get the COVID-19 vaccine. Basically saying if you want a third stimulus check, you're going to have to take the vaccine first. Let me know if this is a good idea, bad idea. I'm curious about your thoughts on that down in the comments below. He said that I hope the administration will look at that option because we actually buy something with our $1,400, and that's herd immunity. Would you participate in this? I'm really curious what you think about that. It's an interesting proposition. So Chuck Schumer, who is the Senate Majority Leader, said that the Trump impeachment trial will begin the week of February 8th. I'm not sure if this is a good idea or not. Personally, as an independent, I believe in both values and principles from Republicans and Democrats. I just think this is a waste of tax-paying dollars to impeach someone who is no longer a president. And I don't know what's worse, that or Republican Representative Marjorie Greene files articles of impeachment against Biden, who has only been in office for 3 days. What is worse, impeaching someone who just got into office or impeaching someone who is out of office? Either way, these political games are what's hurting the American people. They're getting paid $174,000 a year for these political games when instead they could help out the American people, use their time and resources to help out the most needy in our country. Anyway, that's my opinion. President Biden signed 30 executive orders and actions in his first 3 days. So I mentioned two of them the other day, the eviction moratorium extension and student loan extension and payment, as well as interest. He signed 2 more, or actually 3 more yesterday, one of them being calls for the Department of Agriculture to consider enhancing pandemic EBT benefits by 15%, so a family with 3 children or more can receive $100 in additional support every 2 months. Also, there were around 12 million Americans who did not benefit from the earlier increase, and they would get a bump of 15 to 20% per month. So that was one of the executive orders. Another one was to getting these stimulus checks out more quickly with the executive order. Now, what he said in this one is that basically the White House says that there are around 8 million Americans who still haven't gotten the $1,200 first stimulus check, and that the $600 second stimulus check, there's still a lot of people who haven't received that one. So in this executive order he signed yesterday on Friday, he said that one of the orders tells the Treasury Department it needs to step up the stimulus checks by finding new tools and methods to get any delayed payments out promptly. Now, I'm going to be honest here. This executive order doesn't really speed up the process of getting this second stimulus check. Later on in the video, if you didn't receive your first or second stimulus check, I'll let you know what actions you could take. But this executive order, I think, is more about optics. He's basically saying, hey, Treasury Department, find a new way to get the stimulus checks out faster. It's not really doing much besides saying, get the stimulus checks out faster. Next up, here is a video from Brian Dees, who is the National Economic Advisor, basically taking Larry Kudlow's position, giving the latest information about the stimulus package in his press conference. Here's the clip right now.
Hi. Good to see you. Thank you for taking questions today. I want to ask you about the call on Sunday with a bipartisan group of lawmakers. What can you tell us about the call? Will President Biden be on the call? And what is your message to moderate Republicans like Mitt Romney, who say the economy can't have another stimulus after you just passed a $900 billion relief package last month?
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. So the president has made clear to his team that we should be reaching out to members of Congress from both parties to make the case for the rescue plan and to engage with them, understand their concerns. So that's what we're doing, both myself and senior members of the team. We have been doing that over the course of time. We'll continue to do that, including the call on Sunday that I'll be doing with a group of senators, and we'll continue that engagement going forward. In terms of the message, it's pretty clear. We're at a precarious moment for the virus and the economy. Without decisive action, we risk falling into a very serious economic hole, even more serious than the crisis we find ourselves in. And economists across the board, including today President Trump's former chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, arguing strenuously that now is the time for that type of decisive action for the economy, and that we can't wait to provide the resources to make sure that we can open schools, we can get vaccine shots in people's arms, and we can provide that bridging relief to families and small businesses. There's a lot of support. I met with a group of mayors yesterday, bipartisan group of mayors from across the country. You hear from mayors, you hear from governors just crying out that in order to take on these crises, the public health and the pandemic and the economic crisis at the same time, now is the moment for that kind of decisive action. That's the case we'll be making.
Brian Dees is going to reach out to the bipartisan group, which consists of Republicans and Democrats, trying to see what type of deal can be reached with the new stimulus package. Senior Democrats are drafting a plan to give parents at least $3,000 per child. Already knew this, but it's going to be paid on a monthly basis. So with the new stimulus package, basically, instead of getting the $3,000 or $3,600 as a credit, the IRS would be tasked with depositing checks worth $300 every month per child younger than 6, as well as $250 every month per child age 6 to 17. So even if you don't file any taxes, it may be difficult to get that $3,600 or $3,000 per year. Basically, with this new plan, you would get the $300 every month and $250 every month just automatically. You don't have to wait till the end of the year to get it in a lump sum. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Do you think the tax credit should be in a lump sum, or do you like the idea of getting it on a monthly basis? I think personally on a monthly basis, if you have kids, I think that helps out a lot more rather than just waiting one time at the end of the year. Let me know what you think though. So the White House is still, as Brian Dees said before, the White House is still trying to be patient when it comes to stimulus talks and trying to go for the bipartisan path. President Biden is saying that he doesn't want to just push it through, but here is an interview with a political correspondent talking about the process moving forward, as well as the gap that we have before the impeachment trials. Take a look at this clip right here.
Yes, it is. He much wants to do a bipartisan deal. He doesn't want to blow up the filibuster in the Senate. He would like to come to an agreement on a large package, maybe not $2 trillion, but something close to that, that has unemployment insurance in it, that has $1,400 checks and the rest. That's their main goal. So they're going to try to do that. Whether they can, whether Republicans in the Senate will accept it is another question. And then they will face the question, do we try to go with 51 votes, or as you mentioned before, do we try to break it down piecemeal into smaller pieces? But yes, this is an attempt to do a big bipartisan deal and do it really fast.
Yeah, the president says he wants to do it fast. Congress rarely does fast. So what happens if this gets all dragged out?
Yeah, well, that's a big question. The 2 weeks does matter, Shep. The fact that we have those 2 weeks between now and the start of the Senate impeachment trial is a big deal because there's a window now for legislation, and they would like this to be it, what they pass. If that does break down, two options. One, blow up the filibuster, go with 51 votes, slam it through that way. Biden doesn't want to do that. He's an institutionalist. The other, more difficult, is try to do the checks right away, send money to the people, as you said, and break it down into smaller pieces. That is not their ideal scenario. So they may have to face the situation where they just say, look, we need to get this done. The American people need it. We're getting rid of the legislative filibuster. We're going with 51 votes and deal with it.
Although not publicly said, it seems that the Biden administration is going to go to the bipartisan route first and have a deadline, and that if the bipartisan legislation isn't reached by a certain deadline, then they're probably going to just have the reconciliation and just pass it through to help out the American people get the stimulus faster. Next, I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. If you want me to answer your question, just type the word question. This way I can search it, and I'll try to get to it in the next video. So Lafakis Henry asks, I'm a dependent over 17. Will I receive my $1,400 and will it come to me? So according to the stimulus package as of now, with the third stimulus check of $1,400, adult dependents will receive that $1,400. That's as of now. They said that with the second stimulus check as well, but then they changed it. So that's what we know as of now. Adult dependents will get that $1,400. Lucian Laneberger III asks, is there any mortgage relief? So currently it all depends on the area you live in. So every city, town, county, and state have their own set of programs. So if you just go to Google, type in mortgage relief, you may find some programs. There's more programs for rent relief. So if you just type in rental relief, you'll see that a lot of small towns and cities are starting to receive money from the national $25 billion pot, which was distributed to many different states, and they're starting to roll out the rental relief program. So if you want to look this up, you can just type in rental relief in your city, town, county, or state and see how you can apply for that. Also, another question here. T. Watson asks, my daughter never got the first or second stimulus check. What can I do? So if you thought that you received the wrong amount, also, if you didn't receive the stimulus check, you're basically going to do the same thing here. You're going to go to the free file option. So this is currently available. If you type in IRS free file in Google, you'll get to this page here, and you're going to have to file a tax return to do the recovery rebate claim to get any stimulus checks you did not receive or any amount that you did not receive, the proper amount, like for dependents or anything. The only problem with this is that the IRS just extended the deadline or the date of when you could start to file your tax return, which is now February 12th. So you won't be able to do this rebate recovery claim until February 12th. So if you didn't receive your stimulus check, you're gonna have to wait until then, unfortunately. So yeah, you would just go to the free file options, you would look up the tool, or you could just browse, and then you just pick one of these tools that fit your criteria, and then you would have to file your taxes that way. Even if you are a non-filer, you've never filed taxes before, you would just do this process just to claim any money that you didn't get with stimulus checks. Hopefully that answers your question. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To brighten your day a bit, here is my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Belle. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing that you should do when you can't sleep. When you can't sleep, try to think of happy thoughts, or try thinking of counting sheep, or think of happy thoughts. And think of the thoughts that you want to happen in your dreams. So sometimes what I do when I try to sleep, sometimes I try close my eyes and think of natural thoughts. And sometimes it happens in my dreams. So that's all the things I wanted to say for this video. Bye.
And if you want to keep the positive vibes going and feel in a better mood, take a break from this negative news and click this video over here. It's on my Wise Vibes channel. If you have any fear whatsoever, fear of not paying the bills, fear of the pandemic, fear of getting COVID, learn how to turn that fear into fuel and step into your purpose. Click this video if you want to learn how to do that. It's the 4 Success Rules by Mel Robbins and how to turn fear into fuel. So click that video now and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.